An absolutely beautiful, amazing morning to you. Hello and welcome to the Morning Drift. How are you, Simba?
I am fine.
You are?
Fantastic. Okay. There's so much to complain about, so much to look forward to in terms of the economy, the government, politics, and the personal life. But guess what? As long as you're alive, it's a chance to fight, and so I'm ready to fight for the day.
I like that. It is always a new chance. A new day is another chance to try again. I hope you can let, yesterday be what it was. Let's not be over ambitious about tomorrow. Let's appreciate the today, which is the present. But of course, Thursday is all matters health. I'm anticipating some very important conversations. Sometimes health issues look pretty minor, right? You think it's a headache, it's oral health. What's wrong with the posture? I know. Simba, have you ever thought of how you stand, how you sit, and for how long, and how that would affect you?
Here's the thing, the only thing I know about posture, out of YouTube, that hospital called YouTube, they say nowadays we have Dr. YouTube. So
Is
you
it?
can actually go to YouTube.
Okay.
So I was surprised the other day that indeed you can grow an inch taller or shorter depending on body adjustment. Interesting to see exactly the conversation they're going to have this morning on the importance of posture. Some people don't know that one of their legs could be shorter or than the other one just because of not understanding exactly how your body is. I'll be looking forward to that conversation, and that's the one they're going to have, isn't it, this morning?
I feel like I got a bit scared when you spoke there.
Actually, it's true. You're going to ask your doctor that.
I should ask her.
Yeah, you should ask.
What, I could go taller? Simba?
Yeah, you could grow a couple of inches taller.
I can.
By body adjustment.
And then I don't have to wear heels on air.
Not that tall. Not that tall. Not that tall. And then some pain that you could be living with, it just could be out of wrong posture.
True.
So body adjustment, something very, very important. By the way, as you grow older, that's that.
But the question is, which is the good posture or wrong posture? We get to learn more today on Health Matters, and it's all physiotherapy today, is it, Simba? I mean, what is going on in the second hour?
In the second hour, we're going to talk about stroke, understanding stroke.
Yes.
Things like those. People just hear the word stroke and they actually do not know that it's a condition the majority of the people suffer from. So this morning, after Ankey has really told you about the importance of correct posture, I'll be coming in and talking to you about stroke, what you need to know, what you need to do, and who is quite susceptible to stroke as well.
All right, be part of the conversations. Remember, this is always all about you, so it is no conversation without you. Engage with us using the hashtag #TheMorningDrift. And of course, remember, we are live on Facebook. Look up TV across all social media platforms, Twitter as well, Instagram and YouTube. And of course, Simba, you are at Simba.
No, don't say that, Ankey.
Kiage Simba.
I am at Kiage Simba. Talk to me, my name is Simba Charles Kiage.
And I'm at Dorice. Ankey. I like to pull his leg. I hope you have a lovely morning. Let's kickstart this show right now.
Pretty much.
Hello, this is The Morning Drift, and I'm more than excited to always have you watch the show. First, thank you very much for trusting us with credible information. Don't forget to use the hashtag The Morning Drift even as we begin this conversation on matters health with Dr. Valentine. She is a chiropractor. Hello. For a long time I struggled with that word, but I get better by the day. She has been very articulate on matters health, and today it's all about posture, really. Have you thought of how do I sit? How do I walk? Could it be affecting me? In what way exactly? So today, Dr. it's so good to have you.
Thank you. Thanks for having me again.
How are you?
I'm good. It's cold, but I'm good.
I agree. It's freezing.
It's very
but
freezing,
like Simba said, We stay positive.
Oh, we have to. We have no choice.
And the first thing I'm doing right now is to look at how you're seated against how I'm seated. You know, it's very easy for a human being to begin comparing.
Yes.
Especially as journalists, we move closer, we sit this way, and I know people pick that over and over.
Yeah.
And so that's bringing me closer to, you know, the corporates.
Yes.
You know, we're always working 8 to 5, or sometimes even 6 to 9 or overtime.
Longer, yeah.
Now there's COVID. In different countries, different setups, there's online. And I don't know, let's just start with what is posture, because I'm just driving at, there's always some sort of sitting position or standing position. And, you know, photography position. So what's posture?
So when we talk about posture, in a simple way, it's saying how is a body carrying itself relative to its environment. So whether I'm standing, how am I carrying myself, whether I'm sitting, whether I'm sleeping. So it's a state that your body is in, depending on the environment around it and relative to what it needs to do.
Oh.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. And so it will always change.
It will always change.
One thing I would say for posture is dynamic. It's never static. It's never one thing.
True.
Because how you stand is not how you sit. So I can't be seated standing. I can't be standing seated. You get what I mean, But also how I walk isn't the same way I carry myself when I'm standing. How I run is different. So there's a dynamic aspect of posture, and then there's a static aspect. So I'm just standing or I'm just seated.
Oh, so dynamic is you moving?
Most of it is the movement of it, but there's also subtleties of, even if I'm sitting in this position, let's say in the office or the way we're sitting now, after a while we'll shift and cross your legs. After a while I'll shift and open my legs. So there's subtle changes. I haven't moved, but even in my position I can change. So there's a dynamic aspect of it, and then there's just the, I'm standing. Nimesimama tu hivyo.
Umesimama tu wima.
Wima kabisa.
And I know somebody's asking, so what is it a matter of health that we're talking about posture? Because as a matter of fact, some people think, I mean, this is casual conversation.
It is important because how your body carries itself. I remember the last conversation we started talking about how your brain interacts with the environment. How I interpret my environment governs how my body responds. Simple example. So if I am caught up in a place where I have to run, if my body doesn't respond properly, I'll be in trouble. If a tiger is chasing me and I don't run, girl, I'm meat. Okay.
You are dinner.
I am dinner for the tiger, and the tiger is happy, but I'm dead. You know. So, but their body processes that change because of that. So why is posture changing as well? So if I'm sitting in an office and my posture isn't okay, I have a deadline. Leo lazima nimalize report by 2 p.m. So I'm already positioning myself in a place where I'm hunched, or I'm doing this. So it's now going to start affecting what's my brain thinking about my current position. So if I'm, for example, hunched over, when you're stressed, this is a posture we tend to take naturally. We'll talk about this a bit later, but that's it. So I'm like this, I'm on my desk, my boss is in my ears, blah, blah, blah. Now, what am I going to do? Because I'm stressed, my body kicks in the stress response. So now I'm going to start breathing heavily. My heart rate goes up, my cholesterol is everywhere, all over the shop. So now it's 2 and I finish the report and I'm happy. What's the first thing I start doing? Now I start doing this. And naturally we start, you know, and it's, we think, oh, niko tight, but it's, I've been trying to deal with this. So we get physical symptoms because that's what we relate to. But internally, because remember your physical, your muscular, so your muscles, your bones also relate internally, The same nerves that go to my hands are the same nerves that go to my heart, The same nerves that go to my back also go to my gut. So if I'm affecting how my movements are, then I'm also influencing uko ndani, ni vile tusioni.
I like when you say, I am influencing it, but I just cannot see it.
I can't see it.
I like how every time you come on set, we're talking about those silent things, those things we can hardly really, you know, immediately even detect that we are feeling. But now someone would ask, truth, you have said what you have said, and that's why it's a health issue. But how does this really work? How does the body govern? I know you've mentioned some of that, but you could go a little bit deeper into it and just bring us closer into understanding this posture
Okay.
and the body.
Okay, so the way we look at it is, so when you look at the body itself, okay, so when it comes to posture, there are three things you're looking at broadly.
Okay.
So I'm looking at this, what we call proprioception. So proprioception is joint position sense. So I know my knee is in this position at this time. So the knee tells my brain, I'm in this position at this time. That's what we call joint position sense, yeah? My elbow is here, so there's information being told back to the brain about where is the body in relative to the space. So if I'm standing, I know I'm at this height and not this height.
Yes.
Or I'm at this position and not this position. That's primarily governed by proprioception, yeah? The other thing we're looking at is balance, which is also influenced by proprioception as well.
Okay.
Yeah? So you're looking at the information being fed back and forth, yeah? So once your brain gets that information, it goes back and says, okay, so what do I need to do? So that's where your muscles now come in.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so your muscles are now told, Ankey is standing, you need to activate this muscle, slow down this one, you need to make this one do this or this one do that, yeah? If, for example, I'm falling, I don't want to fall because I need to protect myself. So what's the first thing I'll do? Most probably is I'll guard the back muscles, as an example. Yeah, could be my back muscles or my hip muscles. So my brain's gonna say, Ankey anaenda kushika floor. We need to pull her up. So everything that needs to pull you up, pulls you up. So that feedback is quite important, yeah? The other information we're thinking about is your eyes. Your eyes always have to stay horizontal to the horizon. Come what me. And that is where sometimes posture now becomes a problem. Now, if my whole body is tilted like this, I can't see straight.
That's true.
So what am I going to do? If I can't change down here, I might do this.
Well, yes.
Yeah?
Yes.
Now my eyes are to the horizon, but what's happened here? Yeah?
Very much.
It's changed.
Yes.
Yeah? So we're always thinking, how as a human being must I function? My eyes have to stay to the horizon. So if I have to make this whole thing curve,
Yes.
I will curve you so that you look straight. Yeah? Again, what's all this information coming in, because it's very much about the sensory around you, the environment that feeds back in. I can sit on a chair because I feel the chair. So that information has gone up to the brain to tell me this is a chair, and the brain has gone, how does Valentine need to sit? So I'm seated in this position comfortably because I know what I have fed. Now, if I didn't know, you could have found me on the floor because I didn't feel.
So
Yeah.
there's a lot of comprehension as this goes as well.
There's a lot of information coming in
Yes.
and information going out.
Wow.
And that's often the complexity of posture, because
Yes.
you're not thinking about these things, yeah? So it's subtle things like, you would say, okay, what's your posture supposed to look like? So if I'm looking at someone, yeah? So if you're standing in front of me, I'll ask you, okay, just breathe, relax
Yes.
comfortably,
Yes.
yeah? So we're looking at head position. What's your head doing relative to your shoulders? Yeah, so are your eyes straight? Are your ears, is your head tilting like this? Is your head doing this? You know, you're doing things like that. Shoulders, is one shoulder higher than the other?
Okay.
Yeah, so ideally you want them level.
All right.
Yeah, so you're
I think
looking
my
at...
one shoulder is tilted right now.
We'll do a mirror test.
Oh, okay, we should.
So the next thing is also your hips, yeah? So you're looking at the level of the hips as well, from the front. Yeah, so this is just a scan.
All right.
Yeah, it's not now the complexity of it. We're looking at how your knees are and how you fit. Then you look at you from the side, yeah? So you're looking at your head, your ear should sit right on top of your shoulder. Okay, from the side. That is a problem for a lot of us. I will go into that a bit deeper.
We should.
Yes, so you go into the shoulders, should align to the hip, should align to the knee, should align to the ankle. And that's important, one, because of weight bearing. You're carrying you have to weight bear. So what your body is looking for, what position is going to put least amount of strain, but helps me maximally function. So how, if I stand like this,
Yes.
am I straining more? My body doesn't like it, so I need to find a position where I can.
But you see, even as you're speaking, Daktari, I'm wondering how many people ever stop or pause to listen to what is my body trying to say or communicate.
Hardly.
I don't know. If you're watching from back at home and you do that, please prove me wrong. And I'd love to celebrate with you the milestones you have made as far as listening and coordinating with your body is concerned. That's something we mostly don't do.
Yes.
And I know you went further to even explain, you were about to just begin explaining what a good posture is.
Yes.
You know, and I
Yes.
thought you're going to lose somebody who's watching from back at home, because someone is thinking, fine, if my eyes are, you know, as they should be aligned and my ears as they are, then what is with my knees? You know, it's, you know, someone can say it's relative.
Yes.
A good posture then is relative. But do you agree? But if you don't, then what is a good posture?
To some degree, it's relative. I always say relative to the person and their environment.
Okay.
But there are things we want to be standard to you. Yeah. So when I say good posture is, you want, again, those things you were looking for. So your head position relative to your shoulders. Yeah. You should actually have your shoulders nicely squared
Can we just
back.
try that with me right now? So,
Yeah.
Okay. So am I seated okay right now?
Yes, except because you are on an angle, that probably does put you
Yeah.
a bit off. Yeah, but ideally you want to hold square up, yeah? And not over-exaggerated square up.
Like, don't suck in your tummy.
Not, no. You need to breathe. Hey, we
No,
don't
you know,
dare to
modeling
die.
is different. So-
Modeling is quite different, but also with things like that, again, that's where you're engaging the core, and we'll talk about how that comes in play, yeah? But if I'm seated, a simple thing I tell people is squeeze your shoulder blades back, just very gently. That already pulls your shoulders back. If you can learn to do that,
Okay.
just doing that, that helps a hip a lot, yeah? Now, if I'm seated, ideally you want your feet on the floor. Yeah.
On the floor.
Yeah, that's what I was
Okay.
saying. Like, for example, I'm short. So if I sit here, I'll be dangling. So I'll, you know, just doing my feet
So
up.
that's not a good idea.
Not necessarily, especially if you're going to be sitting for a long period of time.
Okay.
Yeah, you want to be able to say, okay, my feet are down also because of your low back. Yeah, you don't want to overstrain, because sitting already is a bad thing for our bodies. So you don't want to add more stress by sitting poorly. Yeah, so you sit in a position where, and even me lifting up that way,
Yes.
I already have to pull my core in.
Yes.
Just by naturally doing that, yeah? So I'll do this and I'll consciously have to remember. Yeah, the challenge we have is because it's not our norm. We get tired. So narudi, hapa.
There we go.
Yeah.
So there's a norm. I like that you mentioned.
It's a norm. It's just health, as you remember last time I told you about, healthy is actually not normal. So bad posture is actually a normal thing and good posture is not. That is just a reality. And also because of the lives that we live.
Because of the lives that we live.
Yes.
And when you say that, the word that comes to my mind is lifestyle.
Yes. 100%.
So you're trying to say that as we were speaking, can you give me statistics perhaps, because I don't want to just speculate.
Yes.
When you said bad posture is normal,
Yep.
and you are always interacting with these people,
Yes.
how high is this? You know, cases of I have this condition because of bad posture, or they're trying to figure out what they're going through because of bad posture. Is it at a high as we're speaking?
Bad posture in general is at a high, and I would say probably over 90% of the population.
Over 90%.
The challenge with it is, for a lot of people, it's not symptomatic. So I don't think about it. Yeah, again, the silent killers happen until something happens. Yeah, again, that's what we're saying. We often wait until we feel pain for me to think about something. Yeah, so if I'm working a lot and I'm straining, nikianza kusikia uchungu, that's when I'll do something
Well,
about
that's
it. But if I'm not feeling pain, even if it's bad for me, I'll go on. Why stop? And again, it's a mentality we have, yeah? So if you look at the average person, like you sit at a cafe, I used to have this, it's not probably the best habit, but in school we used to just to understand. So you sit at a cafe and just watch people pass, come and go. And you're like, hey, where? Huyu anatembea mguu iko hivi, mwingine anatembea iko, and you can tell, but they're not feeling anything. So even if you tell them, they're like, it's like meh, what are you talking
because they
about?
think that's how they were born, that's how they walk,
Yes.
that's how they are meant to walk. But
Yeah.
you know, let's just walk these patterns with you, and perhaps there is a solution
Yes.
to now, either I'll call it recovery or readjustment. Dr.
Yeah.
will tell me which right word to use.
Yes.
Now, because it's a beautiful, you know, show
Yes.
where we don't want to make health issues very scary, we're going to show you a few, you know, pictures,
Yes.
you know, just now,
Yeah.
and Dr. here could let me understand if they are good postures or bad postures. All right, the show is just beginning, but Dr. can we do that for
Yeah.
a short brain exercise?
Yes, let's see if I remember too.
All right, just in case you can relate with any of these, please let me know in the comment section if it's awakening. And also let me know, do you think Dr. is exaggerating? Because people are very defensive, like, you make bad posture, Lini. So let's take a look at the first one, and we'll just be commenting through it if we can see them on the screen, and share with you good or bad posture.
So on your left, that is terrible posture.
Terrible.
Yes.
It's not even bad as they wrote it.
No. It's bad posture, but I'll also highly say it's terrible. Now,
Why is it terrible?
Well, let's first look at it from the from the side. Again, we're looking at where the head is relative to the shoulders relative to the hips. Yeah. Now, if you look at this lady, her head is way in front of her shoulders. Now, the one thing you understand about your head, anytime it moves an inch forward, the weight of it actually increases by 10 pounds. So about 3 to 5 kilos. Yeah. Now, it's not ati kichwa imekuwa mzito, but the weight felt by your body increases.
Okay.
So the further my head goes forward like that, the heavier my body feels it as. Now, for her to have that kind of a posture in that position, then she has to adapt. And often what happens is then your mid-back now curves extremely to compensate.
And we're going to come to the effects of that compensation.
Yes.
Right now, we're just going to be showing you why it's a bad posture. The effects of this coming in after the break. So that you called terrible.
Terrible.
So, okay, let's see. Against it, what was the picture against it? So Dr. can also let us know why it is a good posture. All right. They seem to be wearing the color of my dress.
Yes.
Oh, no, absolutely not. So
the background is, yes. So the right is good posture and relatively good posture. So if you can see, the neck is sitting comfortably over the shoulders, over the hips. And also you can see the spine is not strained. Yeah. Key thing over here is also looking at what's happening to the spinal joints themselves. And then also you can see it's a bit more open. So the space between the head and the hips is not curved in, it's not reduced. And remember, what sits in there is your lungs. So you need to breathe properly. Yeah, so this person here, I've got more space to breathe.
Yeah, when you say that now, I really get it.
Yes.
My lungs are in there, my bronchi, the alveoli, everything. I am constricting.
Your heart beats in there, everything. So as we go into some of the effects of that, is if I do this and take a deep breath in, not much. But if I open up, I have more room to breathe. Yeah? Because what happens when you're breathing in, your chest expands. Yeah. So kama nimekaa vivi, I don't have room to go. Yeah.
Do you know why I agree with that? Because I'm going to make it more relatable with artists, anchors, musicians. Most of the times, by the way, if Simba is watching and all the other journalists, we're told to speak from our stomach.
Yes.
Or sing from in there. So you have to actually be in a position where you can breathe.
You have to be in a position you can breathe. And if you think about singers, for example, you pull your voice from your tummy really more than you do up,
quite literally.
So you have to push your voice down. Now if I'm curved this way, I can't really, I don't have room to expand. And you've got this muscle that sits over your under your rib cage called your diaphragm, and that's what controls the up and down. Now if it expands, it flattens so that you increase room for your lungs to expand and get air. When you breathe out, it goes up. So now you're pushing up. So you need room from that muscle to also move up and down to create that space. You also need room for everything else to move. So if I'm singing, for example, and I don't hold properly, and I'm curved this way, I'll struggle. And so now if I'm straining, now I'll start pushing my voice from here and here. So now I start bring other issues.
Other issues.
You'll have other issues. If you're talking, you're an anchor, that you need to still have good breath control throughout. So let's say, the director decides, Ankey, you're doing a show for 10 hours non-stop. No break, If you don't have that capacity to change, utafika pahali you start fatiguing.
So those are some other effects.
Yes.
There's fatiguing and more that we're going to be coming to shortly. I know everybody's thinking, oh, wow, it makes sense now. And a lot of these things are things we do every single day.
Every day.
And that's why you said over 90% of human beings on the surface of the earth are actually living in bad posture. They don't even care to pose and think what posture is good, which one is bad. Dr. Valentine, I know we also have some things on this table. It's getting more interesting. And we'll be sharing with you the effects of the bad posture in effects of good posture, and also more diagrams coming to your screen. So we are making this more easy and relatable to save you for today, because the future begins the next minute. We take a short breather. This is the Morning Drift. Don't go too far away. Welcome back. This is the Morning Drift, and of course Matters Health taking center stage this very hour. Matters Posture for that matter. Dr. Valentine, thank you very much for being here. She is, for those who are just joining us, a chiropractor. You might want to Google that. But she just makes sure that your nerves are coordinating properly, of course, just to get you back to, coordinating properly, because that's why you're a human being. There's a lot of coordination happening in your body, the anatomy, your physique, your body parts. No wonder there's so many in just one person. And even the scientists, just to, lighten this up a little bit, tried to fix a robot.
Yeah, it's not
Still
that
can't function
easy.
like a human being.
The complexity about you, and sometimes you think you know something and then you realize you don't, because it almost changes the next minute.
Almost changes the next minute.
Yes, yeah.
Wow, so scientists are always in the laboratories trying to figure out something.
Yes.
But we're not saying they're doing anything less. We're saying we actually appreciate that they're trying to figure out how to make living better.
Yeah.
We're talking about postures.
Yes.
And we are always, like you said, the body and the environment, the relationship in that.
Yes.
And we just saw the first diagram.
Yes.
And we were talking about the effects, because it's very hard to talk about a good posture and not talk about the effect.
Yes.
Pretty much overlapping.
Yes.
So let's get closer to somebody who's just about to get into their car.
Yes.
Look, just gonna be practical. There is this.
Mm-hmm.
You know how people say, "Aunty."
Yes.
Literally on the steering wheel. Like, why is she so afraid? Perhaps
Yeah.
they're not something. It's comfortable.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, Lord.
Okay. You want to talk about the postures when you're driving, because and what that would then result to.
Okay, so when you're driving, a couple of things you want to think about is, again, you want to see fast, yeah? So what's your height relative to mbele? Your windscreen, can you see in front?
Yes.
Yeah, so it can be, you want to make sure you're seeing properly. So hopefully you have the seat can actually adjust, yeah? Now the other thing you're thinking about is, in your sitting position, ideally, you want your hips slightly higher than your knees. So what I mean is, I could not slumped, but it's almost like I'm going down.
Okay.
Yeah. So if I'm seated, I don't want my leg like this when I'm driving. You don't want it this way, yeah, because now you start putting a bit of strain to the low back. But if I lower it that way, I just release that a bit, yeah. So that helps. So you always want to feel when you're seated in your leg position, are you too bent? Yeah, I just want that knee a bit relaxed and slightly lower.
All right.
Okay. Now, with the back as well, you don't want to be. Now, I can't drive like this. This is probably not the most comfortable. You know the way our shoshos used to drive. Some of the older ladies, I've seen them doing this, in the car.
Is it anything like one of the photos we have on air?
Yes, one of it.
Yes.
Well, closer. But there's this concept, some people sit too close, which is not also ideal, particularly for your hands, yeah?
Okay.
So what I try people is try and think of arm length.
Arm length.
Now you don't want to be at umeshikilia hivi, a very relaxed arm length, yeah? So I want to be comfortable in my driving, because again, the thing that happens is, if for example I'm rolled in and my shoulders roll in, the nerves that leave my neck going to my hands go under my collarbone,
Yes.
under the shoulder, and go to the hands, yeah? So if I'm straining too much, I can start affecting this area. So it could be more of that. Some people tell you, I get tingling and numbness because of how I hold my hands, yeah? And also given with all the tissue that's around it, that can affect it, yeah? So you're always thinking, relax. That's all, relax. Like in Isile, relax at Isasa, you're too casual.
All right.
But think a bit of arm length, a very relaxed elbow. And then when you're up here, again, relax, but hold your shoulders back. So again, squeeze your shoulders slightly in, and you're holding that position, yeah?
I'm now curious.
Yes.
If someone has had a habit of poor posture for the longest time, what are some of the side effects we are seeing them probably developing over time that maybe somebody could then try and avoid by now?
Okay, so one of the things, we'll even go back to what you're about breathing, yeah?
Okay.
Poor breathing is one of the things we see. So a lot of people actually shallow breathe and we don't realize it.
Shallow.
Yeah, so we don't breathe deeply. So air doesn't really get right to the bottom of your lungs. So you're always having this to catch up, yeah? So if you walk past people and just watch their breathing, and often it's breathing from up here rather than down here. Yeah, and that over time then becomes that I'm always having almost like a deficit in my body. So I don't never fully oxygenate myself, which you need to function, yeah. The other thing with poor posture is pain, which is what everybody knows, yeah? So for example, if I'm curved in this way with my head, I weaken my neck muscles at the front, and then these ones will tighten because they're trying to hold up, yeah? My pec muscles here will go tight. Now, if I'm in this position, one of the things now, for example, I can easily get numbness and tingling again, because where do my nerves go through? Here. So in this position, I'm compromising. The other thing I'm finding is you get less movement, so range of motion decreases. So I'll give you an example. I'll hunch over. This is my shoulder. So if I move it up, there's only so much I can go, yeah? Now, if I sit up properly, I can literally take my shoulders further, yeah?
Wow.
Just by shifting how my posture is seated, yeah? So that shifts as well, okay? Other couple of things that you see is because of that weakening, your body is always going to try and compensate. So other things will start to change. So you find you're always having either the general muscle tightness and weakness, and you're always never quite okay, yeah? And then the other thing you find it also can affect in terms of how your brain function is, because the thing with also posture, I need to go back slightly, is you reduce how your joints are moving.
Joints?
Yes, so remember how we talked about the spine. Now, if I'm stuck this way, I can't go any further, I'm not reducing the amount of information coming up. So you find even over time, the way I relate to cells, so how I'm functioning, how my concentration is, some people are affected with things like concentration, focusing, just because I'm not getting enough flow coming up and down, yeah? And the other thing that you also find...
You know, we're going to come back to the concentration and focus. As a young girl in school, there's a reason why the desks or the seats in class do not have more comfort. No, is it? It's pretty much always straight up. Yeah. That posture you're explaining. So that was the the science behind it. Focus and concentration. The reason why you sit that way, is it?
Partly, yes, but I think also I don't think it was even ever thought about. I think schools are just schools. Sometimes I look back, I was like, I think they could have thought it better, because sometimes we had small chairs and really big desks, and you're like a small kid and you're trying to, so you have to strain. The other thing also you can talk about with school kids, and of course every child is not the same height, so you kind of have to try and standardize it. Okay. But also encourage them, because what do kids do? Wakiboeka?
True.
Kwa meza, and they slump a lot, yeah? True. The other thing with kids as well is school bags. School bags should not be more than a third of a child's weight. So if your child is 10 kilos, for example, tafadhali usimpatie bag ya 5 kilos.
Ama uweke lunch,
vitabu, games kit in the same bag, textbook. You know, I remember because in school we used to have them so heavy. True. So what do they naturally move forward, because it's heavy, so I have to tilt to carry that weight. Now these are little kids who are still growing and they haven't fully developed. Now we're already putting more stress on them when they're young. They haven't gone out to play games, they haven't gone out to do this, yeah? So let's say if they don't need all the textbooks, they don't have to carry all the textbooks, yeah? I know a lot of our schools don't have the luxury of lockers and stuff, but if we can even try, afadhali hata umwambie carry your games kit in a different bag or something, yeah?
You can balance it out.
You can balance it out, but don't make it so heavy that this child is now already young and stressed, because there's so much weight on their developing spine and developing body, and they're still having to grow.
This is very important. You do realize that there are parents watching this morning, heads of schools and departments. Yes. And little did they know that they were causing so much harm to these young humans just by thinking you're putting extra snacks for your child.
And it's just weight.
It's just
the weight. You don't say that you take him to akule, but when you yourself carry that bag, feel the weight of that bag before that child leaves, yeah? So that you're not stressing that child, yeah? The other thing that also affects kids is sometimes their concentration span, there's a lot of things that affect them, so they tend to go, so encouraging them to take frequent breaks in between so that their brain kicks back in, and then they can go back to having, really nice posture, sitting down, and encouraging them, yeah? Because sometimes you see parents say like, "Kaa vizuri, straighten up." I'm like, sometimes they can't, because they're already switched down. Yeah? Often and particularly because posture is very much controlled by the brain. If your brain is not firing quickly, I'm just gonna dump down. So hata ukiniambia nikaa hivi, after a while, I'm back. Yes. The other thing with children as well is we own a lot of tablets, phones all the time. Yeah.
There we go.
So what do we naturally do?
21st century parenting.
like this. Yeah.
And the PS5, PS4.
PS5 games, everything. They're always.
So posture is pretty much lifestyle.
It's a lifestyle issue. Yeah. So and especially with kids. With children, what you often see is even more of the brain effects quicker because it's a developing brain, yeah? So what those screens tend to do is they overstimulate some parts, understimulate some parts, yeah?
Could you be kind enough to explain, or will we not understand the overstimulated part? And
No, I can explain a bit more. So if I'm on my phone, so if I'm just scrolling, yeah, one of the parts I'm doing is vision. So the part of the brain that controls my vision is the back of the head here, yeah? So if I'm always on my phone and stuff like that, I overdevelop it to some degree, yeah? Now also what it does, it's because of the lighting, yeah? The lighting on our phones and screens, sometimes it's very bright. Now it goes to parts of your brain that increase your stress responses. Yeah, so those things, it just keeps firing up. Yeah, if there's a concept of what we call blue light. Now, blue light is good in the morning when you're waking up, but you don't want it all the way to the night. So if I'm always on the phone, then my brain is always alert and awake.
Does the brain also pick, besides the light, anything to do with posture?
It will pick, it will affect it, because if I dump it, because those parts of the brain also control all these muscles.
Yes,
yeah?
That's true.
So if I overstimulate some of those areas, and the front part of your brain, which is what we call your frontal cortex, is what does your cognition, your self-control and stuff, and also helps you maintain a good posture. Now, for most people, it is dampened down because of how overstimulated other parts are, or because it's not getting enough feedback information, it's not as active. So if I'm not reacting properly, I'll just narrow down, yeah? And that's why sometimes it's hard to know the chicken and the egg, because you don't know where it started. Because I could really be wanting to do this, but my brain just can't pick it up. So I'll just end up going where I'm comfortable. So it's always sometimes a correlation, because it's not just, oh, sit up, tighten your muscles, exercise, everything has to work in tandem. And especially if your nervous system has not kicked in properly because it's not getting the right stimulation, it will help to some degree. But there's always be that one thing that's just not, you know. And I'll give you just a quick example. For example, your neck up here has the largest amount of what we call proprioceptors, so information that goes up about position. Now, if I'm in a forward head carriage and I'm doing this because I'm always on my phone and stuff like that, I really put a lot of strain on this area. So it can dampen down how this part functions. Or my brain just doesn't know where the neck is properly, yeah? So it's not that I don't know. I'll compensate. Again, you have to survive. That's how you have to live, yeah? So if I'm not conscious, I'm going to try and find ways to get this information, yeah? So my posture will affect, but also if now it starts becoming the other way because I'm not, getting that proper information, there's no movement in my joints, I'm not aware of my environment, so all these things are subtle, yeah? And often that's why I say the complexity of it, and then there's the obvious things of it, yeah? So when we're looking at it, we're always asking, so what's happened in this whole process?
Because I want to get to where now you the diagnosis, because you're a chiropractor, and what you're trying to do is to let the person who has now realized that, that pain we were saying, that now, forces them to come to you. And they have developed one of these things, like we were saying earlier on, maybe I wasn't born this way.
Yes, no one was born that way.
Yeah, so I pretty much grew up this way now. I'm stuck to this, because you're saying now the brain, I don't know, the people who now have weird, or maybe not weird, but some
slumped postures, things change over time.
Is it possible to correct that?
Yes, but also it depends on how far down the process. Yeah, so if, for example, like let's say like an 80-year-old came in, they're already hunched over, there's only so much I can do from a point of view of they may have already had a lot of wear and tear.
Let me take you back.
Yes.
Age, before we now giving, we started giving the specific ages. We've talked about school children. And how parents or guardians, without knowing, impose some sort of, problems when it comes to posture. And now that's just what kicks in. And now we're looking at, because you touched on age, and we shot from the child in school to the 8-year-old. Is there a specific, you can now start walking the age group and postures?
The thing where different age, again, it's a lifestyle, yeah? So with kids, we've talked about subtle things like that. Yeah, so how they're sitting on the phones, and often you'll find a child who's not very active as well. Those things that will affect. Yeah, so I'll tell parents, balance their screen time. Don't let them sit on the phone all the time if they don't have time to play, because children develop by actual physicality. Like play with dough, play with clay, feel things, touch things. If I'm on a screen, I'm not feeling, touching, playing with it. Yeah, so the development is becoming a bit, slower. Yeah, so as they start growing up, now let's get to like teenagers, for example. What do girls do? We're in puberty, so we start having breasts. What's our natural inclination? Because we feel ashamed, we hunch over. Yeah.
That was very, very familiar.
Yes, for a lot of us. I think when I was growing up, I never used to understand. And then I was like, oh, okay. Lehapa bere, kind of thing. And so you start seeing subtle things like that. Even boys who are taller, that teenage year is a very interesting season, because you're not just looking at the physical aspect. It's when you're starting to find yourself. So how you feel about me actually really matters. So if Ankey is shorter than me and I'm really tall, I'll want to slump over to get to your height. So you can find some really tall kids wanting to bend over just because they psychologically want to fit into a space, for example. Yeah, but also they fall into the same victim place of screens and phones, and teenagers are notorious. You will always see a kid like this,
even in my
tattoos, in buses and everything, and I'm just like, what, child? You do not know what you're doing to yourself.
Yes.
And all of them are active, and so I'm like, you're doing this, you got poor posture, so now you're deactivating yourself, you've got less activity, and then you're telling that same body to go and play rugby, play basketball. And the hustle, as some people used to tell me, you think when you're young you're invisible. Yeah, I can do everything and all things, and then you pay for it later. Yeah, so it's encouraging them, and especially because teenagers can work out, teach them how to do simple things like core exercises, how to move their body. Teenagers can be hard, but if you make it relevant to them, you've got to help them see that this is an issue of life. Yeah,
an issue of life. I like how you put that.
Yeah, so it's not just young and invisible things don't happen. We see a lot of back pain in girls and in boys. We see a lot of issues you tend to see in adults younger. Headaches, jaw pains, all other issues, even physical, all the other internal problems like your menstrual issues with girls and stuff like that. Yeah, often when you trace back, because posture is not usually the diagnosis, posture is a problem within what you're finding in the diagnosis. Can you look at the posture and see how it's changed, and try and relate to what has now the body done to cope with what's going on? Yeah, so
what you call compensate.
Yes. Or so, for example, if I have back pain, yeah, depending on where the source is, I'll try and move away. You always try to take away from pain. Yeah, so if, for example, I'm walking like this and my problem is my back, I'll look at you and know you're either the problem could be on this side, times you're trying to go away, or you're moving away from the pain. Yeah, so there's always subtle things like that, because you have to compensate. So the posture itself, it's never the diagnosis. It's this is part of the problem, or it is what now the body is saying.
Yes.
Because of everything that's happened, this is how I'm responding. Yeah. So you're looking at things like that. Now we get out of school, we start going to uni again, the same student problems, but then we start working, we're in offices a lot. Yeah.
And I really wanted us to get there.
Yeah. So we're sitting down on desks. So it's the same thing you're talking about, ergonomics and how you sit on a desk. Yeah. Now a lot of us, when we get engrossed with work, we forget that we are supposed to move. So you're sitting on your desk for 3, 4, 5 hours before you remember that I needed to get up and move. Yeah?
Because you have a deadline.
You have a deadline. But even if sitting even for 2 hours already changes your physiology. Yeah. So I'll say, Paul, at least if you have to work straight, half an hour, at least after you start, 1 hour, 1.5, get up, move. You don't even have to do far. Stand near your desk, stretch yourself, move, sit back again. It doesn't have to be difficult. Get up and get a glass of water from the reservoir, dispenser. Come back and sit down. It's just move, because you also want to wake your brain again, come back, yeah, kind of thing. Because what happens when we sit is we forget. So we tend to now drop into those postures. Now a lot of things you find with office workers, your headaches, your tension type headaches, your jaw pain. Jaw pain is a very big thing with change of posture. It's not just for office workers, but everyone. Anything with the jaw, because of how your jaw sits over your neck, it's very much affected by your posture. So if I have poor posture, my jaw will also be affected. Yeah, now if my jaw is affected, headaches will come. TMJ is very notorious with headaches, and it's also very notorious with stress. Yeah. So you're having things like that. Yeah, so now if I'm stressed about, if I'm a person who wears glasses, I could water, or I even start finding I'm watering a lot more. Yeah, your concentration again is affected because you're not having enough flow.
True.
And I think forget there's blood flow. Yeah,
Absolutely.
good posture also promotes good blood flow. Yeah, so I'm sitting like this, I've got a deadline at 2, I'm already feeling pain, my boss is in my head. So by the time I'm done with that day, I'm just fatigued. Yeah, again, now we sit and your lower back is now a bit curved, and you're like, by sitting you're already putting strain on your back, so now you curve it a bit more, you're adding more pressure. Now unaanza kuumwa mgongo, and then other things going down your legs. You know, so you get all those physical pains, and I'm thinking, okay, that's physical, but I know all those nerves are going internally to all the other parts, so now what's happening inside? Yeah, and so that's why we call them silent killers, because you're seeing what you're seeing on the outside, but on the inside, you know, you're not knowing. But let's even move away from that sort of sitting on the office. Even physical activity can also affect. Yeah, so
because I was going to go to how people jog.
Yes.
You see, I see people jog differently. And guys, let's just be as honest as possible, as we possibly can. I know you're exercising, I know you're working out, but what if the working out is detrimental, depending on how you posture yourself? Even picking up, there was a diagram we had of, you know, picking up weights. Yes. I did not know I'm supposed to do that.
Yeah, you actually
we literally just grab it. You know,
you grab. And then you pull your back.
Yes, and we think that's easiest.
And then the one day you grab, you won't wake up, and I'm like, yeah, it was not the one time. But even, let me tell you, the one thing I scream at is gyms, because people work out like even running on the streets. Yeah?
Can we start with the running?
Yes, let's even go to running. Yeah. Now, if you look at Kipchoge's on when they're doing marathons, one thing you'll notice, one, their posture is always actually very good. They have to hold themselves up, one, because it puts less strain on their spine. But the other thing you notice, they don't run gliding on the back of their feet.
I don't know if I have noticed that.
If you I guess I had to, because, you know, it's it's my work. They tend to often land on the front of their feet rather than the back, heavily more on the front than the back. Also because of timing. Yeah, so if I hit back, it takes me longer to land down and lift. If I land down, I go quicker. Yeah, so I almost like I'm flying on the floor.
That's true.
In a sense.
That's true.
But also that allows that, because running is a heavy exercise, and they're running on roads which are already hard on your feet. So you need to find a posture that's, you know, quite okay. So holding yourself up, it feels weird in the beginning, but you really have to especially keep your core engaged. Hold up, because a lot of people running, even your normal ukukwa streets, everyone runs like this.
Exactly.
And it's very, very hard. Or you find that running, I think running needs to be a show on its own.
Yeah, we need to bring it back here, because people are always jogging.
Yeah, people are jogging, people are running, people are walking, and it's vital that you hold up. If you bend this way, first your center of gravity is forward. I'm already putting a strain on my back, because now I feel like you're falling forward, and then I'm running, I'm putting a lot of force through my body. Yeah, so simple things. If you can't do it, start by walking, then jog slowly, and then run. Yeah, so that you train your body to do it properly. And also learn to wear, like, running is a whole thing, because also shoes come into play.
Yes, and then they also affect your posture. Speaking of shoes, we are right here with you. There's something I saw very interesting. So ladies, let's today get it from the Medic herself, because Maranyingi, we feel we're being attacked. We don't want us to look good. Yeah, we have to slay these particular stilettos or high shoes. What inch is not right? And you know, we even have to talk about expectant mothers as its own kind of conversation. You're just going to touch on the kind of shoes you wear, and of course how you sleep, and then we come into, can we correct the poor posture, and then I know we've run out of time, so those two things very important, even for men.
Yeah, for sure.
Shoes.
For sure. So shoes, hey ladies, it's okay. Now you don't want, ideally when you're getting to like 4-6 inches, we are getting high. The challenge with heels is because the minute you wear your heels, I'll just stand quickly and just show you. The minute I wear my heels, the natural thing for me to do is bend that way. Yeah, so literally you sway your back.
Maybe you need to do that again.
Yeah, so you're gonna be up. So assume, okay, this is not high, but if I'm really high, my natural thing is to do that. So my bum sticks out, and I'm forward. And if you watch a lot of ladies who don't know how to walk in heels, they're often in this position walking. yeah. So then now we're already putting a lot of strain on our low back, yeah. So as in that picture, as I showed you.
Oh,
there,
exactly.
yeah?
Yes.
So we put a lot of
very.
strain on the low back. Now, naturally, for me to move back, I have to now try and tighten a lot of things, yeah. So it puts a lot of strain on your low back. You tilt your pelvis forward already, so you know you're putting other issues, yeah. So ideally, we were not born to wear heels, but I'm not going to tell ladies not to wear heels before I'm killed. What I'll tell you is,
I'll probably pull the first trigger.
if you are going to wear heels,
yes,
have a very good core.
All right.
So if you're going to wear your heels, pull your core in, because naturally by pulling in, it actually tilts down. So you almost, not that you're sucking your tummy in, but hold it in, so that you bring the natural tendency of your body to lift forward actually comes back, and it's easier for you to carry your weight.
Beautiful.
Yeah?
I know there's a lot more, guys,
Yes.
and I didn't want to end this, but sleeping postures, I cannot end this without knowing. We sleep every day, doctor.
We sleep every day.
And sometimes you wake up and you're like, what happened to my neck? What didn't I do right? I mean, and I can hardly know how I slept. We're always changing postures when we're sleeping.
Yeah.
What did you say about sleeping postures?
Sleep is an interesting topic, which probably
Another
is,
topic.
Yes, that's a whole topic. But just briefly to look at it, when you're looking at sleep, what I tell people is when you're lying down, two things you need to feel. If you're, let's say, a side sleeper. So there's always the topic of sleeping on your back, on your side, on your stomach. If you sleep on your stomach, is a no-go zone. Let's just cancel that.
Okay.
So ideally on your side or on your back is ideal. Now, if you're sleeping on your side, you always want to feel what's happening to your shoulders and your hips, because they're the heaviest part of your body. Yeah, so you don't want to be sinking in, and you don't want to be too flat that you can't move. Okay. So there should be some comfort, yeah. But what I tell, if you lie on your side, lie properly on your side. If you feel it's uncomfortable, put a pillow in between your legs. That keeps your spine neutral, but not a big pillow, just enough to keep your hips apart.
Okay.
Yeah, that will help. Now, pillows themselves are tricky, and often with that, because people want, sleep with 10 pillows, 2 pillows, no.
No?
When you're lying down with your pillow, an easy way I tell people is, one, feel how you are lying down. And if you're a side sleeper, for example, you want that pillow to just cover that space. So where your head and your shoulder is, yeah, that kind of length that way. The other thing you want to feel of is what's happening to your neck here. Do you feel like it's bunching up? Yeah, because that's already tight. Now, if I have to sleep like that 8 hours, it's heavy, yeah? But also, you don't want your head too tilted on that pillow because it's not supporting you. So you just want to find that it's again, very person-specific.
Yes.
Your pillow is not my pillow, yeah? But I want to find something comfortable enough. If I'm on my back, again, you want your neck supported, but you don't want it arched this way. So you don't want your pillow here and you're doing this.
True.
Yeah.
Okay.
You want it lying down so that you feel like you're almost flat. Yeah. So your neck should have enough support and also not pulling up on your shoulders.
Wow, that's...
Yeah.
Wow.
Some pillows, some of us sleep on our shoulders, so we are tilting like this when you're on your back.
And I agree with you, that's a topic on its own. So
Yes.
very soon Dr. Valentine is coming to talk about the running and walking posture and the sleeping posture. So this is just a glimpse of what posture is all about, so you know the seriousness that comes with it. Wakamose Katasi is saying, if I have been adopting a good posture, for instance, then I'm in pain due to injury and I cannot maintain a good posture, is it okay to be in the less appropriate posture due to pain? And if I have been adopting a poor posture and I feel a lot of pain and I cannot adopt a correct posture, what would be good for me? I would say go see Daktari.
Yes.
All right.
That would be one.
Yes.
Yes. But also, if you're feeling pain for being in a good posture, it means you've been in a bad posture for a very long time.
Yes.
Yeah, for a very long time. Yeah, so it's often correct the issues, and then you'll be able to adapt to a good posture. Yeah.
So I know we've run out of time. James Kinywa here saying, I've been doing it wrong my whole life. Well, of course, let me see. Agnes saying, great to learn about right and wrong postures. Pius Mukui, good to see you watching from Ongwaro. Now, we've been having this here as we close.
Yes.
And we're giving you her contacts, so don't worry, she'll come back. What have this been for?
So I brought this
in just 2 minutes.
Yes, I will be very quick. So this is an exercise mat, yeah, but I use this for stretching my back as well. So I'll explain what that means. So with this one, especially when you've adopted forward postures, I recommend this a lot for office workers, drivers.
Forward postures.
So the whole sitting the desk, driving, cooking, all that stuff. Yeah.
Oh, cooking.
Because we always
You said
it's
cooking.
everything. You know what?
Me.
It's most of our life is forward.
Okay.
Yeah, we're always this way.
Yes.
So we always have to find a way to remind ourselves to go back. So you can use something like this, or even towels. Roll them up to be in
nice.
this position. If you don't have, ideally you want to get like a foam roller. So something around like this, a posture, or this like this. Yeah?
All right.
Now what you do with this
Should we stand?
Yes.
As we close as well?
Yes. So ideally what you want to do is, I won't lie down, I'll just explain it.
Yes, sure.
So you put it on the floor that way. Now you want this to be literally lined to your back. Yeah, so in that position there.
All right.
And you're lying down on the floor. Okay. So once you have it, or do you want me to actually do it?
Could you?
Yeah, I can.
Are you sure you're comfortable here?
Yes.
Wow,
yes.
this is how passionate she is. She's actually going to show you. And we are doing our best to ensure that everyone watching, oh wow, she is broken the
You're
record.
getting it. So I'll just quickly explain, so I just do it.
All right.
Done. So you want to lie down, and you want this ideally on your whole back. Now some of us are tall or short. I have a short torso, so this might fit. If it doesn't, either get a long one or put something here so that your back isn't swaying.
All right.
You want to find what we call neutral spine, so your back is not too swayed forward, not back. Yeah.
All right.
Once you're lying down, you're opening your arms that way, and you can allow your head to hang. If it's uncomfortable, put something small. Yes, that's exactly what I'm going to do.
So this is one of those things you do, like someone asked a question, how do I do it better? How do I correct?
Yes, so you can have something like this in the office.
Okay.
So during your breaks, find a place you lie down, put it down, stretch yourself, go back and sit.
Oh, let's show us.
If you're traveling, put it in the back. If you've got a break, put it there. It's every day something you
All
can
right.
actually do, yeah?
Okay.
So,
All right. So, okay, that's for the spine. All right.
my spine is literally on it, yeah? So
Yes.
you want feet down, hips apart that way. My spine is on it, so you want to make sure your whole spine is lined on that. I'm just lifting my hands up this way
Whew.
and opening that way.
So those breaks, guys, those breaks
Yeah.
at work, those breaks, this is good.
So you want to do this, and ideally for good 10 to 15 minutes, thereabouts.
10 to 15 minutes?
Yes.
Instead of the power nap that you do this way.
Yes.
Great, all right.
So if this is uncomfortable, you can do it in that position. Okay, but ideally you want to open your mid back and get that really nice and open down. If you can get your hands to the floor, the better. If not, work your way to it.
We need a longer session.
Yes.
Can I help you up?
That's okay.
Oh, why would I ask her if I could? I mean, she's one of the most fit people,
Not really.
but I can help you get this one.
Yes.
Oh my goodness.
Thank
you so much.
That's all right.
Guys, remember this is as simple as this mat or a towel.
Yes.
Next time I'm coming in the right outfit, so I can do that as well. Thank you very much for what you've been doing. See you next time for this discussion.
Yes.